My name is Brandon Reichs. I'm the author of NEMISIS, which is a young adult series, and co-author of the Viral series, which was loosely based on the TV show Bones. And I'm the perfect choice to moderate this panel because most of my books involve children killing each other. So there's pretty much nothing more funny than dying horrible, painful deaths, often repeatedly. If you'd like to hear more about me, I'm appearing at the What's Hot in YA Fiction panel on Sunday at 1, but that's the last thing I'll say about myself for now because we have to get to our scintillating and talented panelists. So we have an amazing panel lined up, which we have titled It's a Funny Story, Writing Humor. And here's how it's going to work. I'm going to introduce all of our wonderful authors at once. You will clap for each one individually. You'll figure out the rhythm. We'll get this right. And then they were each going to tell us a little bit about their current projects, and then I'll ask some hopefully not terrible questions. And then you guys will ask some hopefully not terrible questions, and we're going to end with a little lightning round. Does that sound good? Yeah. Is everybody having a good con? First day? Everybody? Bring up the energy level in the room a little bit. Ooh, was that? Do we have sound effects?
Oh, no, I was just trying to make
Human beanbot.
I got really excited for a second. All right. At this point, panelists, I'd like you all to please turn on and be funny for the remainder of the hour, if you could. So whatever it is necessary.
No, absolutely not.
Let's go ahead and get that going.
We're on strike.
All right, this panel is
Setting mode too funny.
So this panel is generally about comedy in fiction, but it's really more about creating humor to temper serious topics. These authors have written books that span a wide range of topics from teenage dragons to alien-human relations to murdering comedians, which is a good idea, and then finally to bad unicorns. So we've got a lot going on. We're going to try and that's also a delightfully broad range of books when you're asked to moderate the panel, to sort of synthesize into one subject. So thank you very much for that, Comic-Con. But let's meet our authors. Okay. Brandon Snider is a writer and actor who's written for and appeared on Comedy Central's Inside Amy Schumer and been featured on Late Night with Conan O'Brien and The Chappelle Show. Snider studied improv with Second City and performed sketch comedy as part of the group Rash Behavior, in addition to writing humor for The Huffington Post. He's written numerous best-selling books about comic book characters, pop culture icons, and television shows, including the award-winning Dark Knight Manual. And he's here this week to promote his newest book, What Would Captain Picard Do? To which my answer will always be facepalm. Please welcome Brandon Snider. And so I'm notoriously bad, a quick aside, at actually keeping up with people's publicists. So I put most of these intros together. So if there's anything wrong in them, please correct me. And if there's anything I've left out, add. And anything that you didn't want me to say, that ship has sailed. Okay. Fred Van Lente is the New York Times bestselling and award-winning author of comics like Archer and Armstrong, Action Philosophers, which was an ALA Best Graphic Novel for Teens winner, and Cowboys and Aliens, which was the basis for the feature film. His many other titles include Weird Detective, The Comic Book History of Comics, The Incredible Hercules, Marvel Zombies, and The Amazing Spider-Man. He's here promoting his first novel, 10 Dead Comedians, which just released this month and honestly sounds like a good start. So please welcome Fred Van Lente. I appreciate the few of you that gave me the pity laugh for the good start joke. That was I can tell we're all in this panel together. We're going to do great. Liz Climo. I drew the eye.
You got it right.
I drew the eye. It really did work. Liz
every time.
is a cartoonist, animator, children's book author, and illustrator for her comic blog, LizClimoTumblr.com. Her book is The Little World of Liz Climo, which is already out, and she also is the author of the Rory the Dinosaur children's book series. She's also a character artist and storyboard revisionist on a little-known art house television series called The Simpsons. And apparently has a greeting card line, which I want to hear more about, featured at Target and Walmart. She's in San Diego to discuss her latest work, You Don't Want a Unicorn, which is an odd title because I very much do want a unicorn. But please welcome Liz Climo. Gini Koch is a prolific science fiction, fantasy, and horror writer, best known for her Alien series, which is also known as the Catherine Kitty Cat series. Did I get that right?
You did. I'm so impressed.
Which began with Touched by an Alien, which was named one of the top 10 science fiction and fantasy novels of 2010 by Booklist. And she also has the Necropolis Enforcement Files series. She actually has quite an incredible catalog of series and also names. I believe
Yes,
seven pen names?
7 pen names.
That
And
is
counting.
incredible.
And counting. It's a controlled form of schizophrenia, and I make it work for me.
It's really quite remarkable. Always debut, just forever debut. I like it.
Every book's a new book. Every book's a new debut.
So Gini joins us to discuss her newest Alien releases, which is Alien Education, which I believe is out, and
is.
Aliens Abroad, which I believe is late.
Yes.
Which sounds
Accurately put.
All right, so please welcome Gini Koch. And last but not least, it's Gabe Hudson, who holds an MFA from Brown University, where he received the John Hawkes Prize in Fiction. His short story collection, Dear Mr. President, was chosen as one of the 10 best books of the year by GQ, as well as best book of the year by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Village Voice. It was also a finalist for the Penn Hemingway Award and the winner of the Sue Kaufman Prize for First Fiction from the American Academy of Arts and Letters. He chaired creative writing at Yonsei University and taught at Princeton University and has appeared in The New Yorker, The Village Voice, McSweeney's, and The New York Times Magazine, among many others. He sounds like a really dumb person. He's here to talk about his debut novel, GORK, the Teenage Dragon, and honestly, the title for that really does speak for itself. Please welcome Gabe Hudson. All right, so this is the one and only time I want you to go down the line. After that, please jump in and say whenever you want, except for perhaps you, Brandon, because you've already been getting there. But please tell us about your current project, and as you do, answer this question. Do you consider this work a comedy, or is that more of a secondary element in your work? Go ahead, Brandon.
So as far as funny stuff, I read a lot of books for Cartoon Network properties, Mad Libs. I have a Marvel joke book that just came out that I'm signing while I'm here. So the comedy stuff is sort of range. I don't know that I suppose it depends on what the project is. Usually if it's something for like a Cartoon Network property, there's a specific type of humor in the characters of the world, whether it's Adventure Time or regular show or like Powerpuff Girls. There's a very specific sort of humor that I feel like as an actor inhabit. So if I can find that pace, that is. Am I answering your question correctly?
You're also supposed to plug, so why don't you go ahead and do that too?
Oh yeah, yeah. So I feel like it depends on the situation. Yeah, I don't know. I think I got lost.
That was the softball question.
Did you write a book?
Book writing words, letters. Yeah.
All right, let's just move on.
I thought it was great, Brandon.
Thank you.
Made perfect sense. My novel is called 10 Dead Comedians, and it's kind of a riff on Agatha Christie's classic murder mystery novel, And Then There Were None, except instead of stiff upper lip British people going to an island and suddenly all starting to get knocked off, there are various kinds of stand-up comedians. So there's a observational comics, an insult comic, late night talk show host. There's a blue collar comic. There's a prop comic that no one likes. So it's essentially a comedy. It's funny people being trapped in an island and being murdered horribly. It's a lot of fun and gory. Someone read it and they were like, I was laughing, and then I was horrified. And I was thrilled someone got my work.
Well, my most recent book is You Don't Want a Unicorn, and it was actually written by the wonderful Amy Dykman, and then I illustrated it. And then the Rory the Dinosaur series, I both wrote and illustrated. And I think for me, as what I normally do my comics online and post those online, and those are really just like, if you've seen them, like just kind of punchlines and that's it. So the challenge with children's books is not only to sort of create an arc and actually write a short story, but to make it funny and hopefully make it funny for both the child and the parent. Because as a parent of a 4-year-old, I want to laugh when I read her a book. I want it to be interesting to me and not just interesting to her, because I'm very selfless like that. But the challenge is just to try and take what the author has written. In this case with Amy, she's done this really funny book, and I look at the text and I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to, first of all, not ruin what she's done and make it worse, but make it, worse because of me, not her stuff is great. But to make it even funnier, hopefully, and hopefully take the jokes that she's already written and how can I make these drawings just sell the joke? And that's sort of what I do on The Simpsons too, honestly. Just hopefully I'm doing a service to the people who are actually really funny who wrote it. So.
Remember those 7 pen names? Yeah. When I'm writing as Gini Koch or GJ Koch, I'm writing funny. So the Alexander Outland series is written as GJ Koch. And I have those other names because, like the panel says, it's really hard to make you laugh. And in the Alien series, a lot is going on. And I kill things and people and characters you might like. And then I have to make you laugh 2 or 3 pages later. So that's kind of fun. But after doing that, my books are getting longer and longer and longer. I want to kill something and not have to make people laugh. So that's why I write horror, I write dystopian fiction, I write fantasy, blah, blah, blah. I write like everything. If it's genre, I'm writing it. And, but it's nice that I don't have to make people laugh all the time, because that's really, really hard. And I tend to watch a lot of the comedians he wants to kill, because I need to get that well refreshed of, hey, somebody made me laugh and now I can go and be funny again. So the Alien series is very funny. The Alexander Outland series is very funny. The Necropolis Enforcement Files series is very funny. Not everything I write is. So
How many books have you
tell.
published?
Oh, I've lost count. I'm over 50. If we count anthologies that I have short stories in, I'm well over 50, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. I'm not really close with sleep anymore. I miss sleep. We used to be so tight and do everything together, and now we've kind of grown apart, and I'm really very sad about that. So, yeah, so no sleep. And so if I start twitching or I hit the mic, I'm really sorry. I got like no sleep last night.
Great.
Just as a warning.
Yeah.
Take it away, Gabe.
I'm here to catch you.
Yeah, okay, I expect, oh, I'm going to fall this way. He's offered.
You can follow me
He
too.
looks
It's
like
okay.
Billy Zane. Does he not have a Billy Zane kind of thing?
Billy Zane-y?
Yeah,
The wacky Billy Zane.
yeah. Billy Zane is hot. I will defend the Zane forever, okay? So, no, we had that talk earlier.
That's true, we did. Yeah, I wrote, also, I just want to say I'm thrilled to be here with you all. You sound like you have amazing projects, so it's like such a wide variety of things. And then you're like, oh, and I'm also doing this, and I have this. I have none of that. I just have one book that I wrote. It's called GORK, the Teenage Dragon, and it's about, these aren't your typical dragons. They actually originate on a planet like Wethia, and they're very sophisticated, and they're a warring species, and their MO is to conquer other planets. The problem is that GORK is 16, it's narrated in the first person, and he has tiny horns, just 2-inch horns on his head, and he has a gigantic heart, literally and metaphorically. He's very sensitive, he likes poetry, and he comes from a long line of planet-conquering dragons, so he's a disgrace to his family. And the book takes place, it's like a John Hughes film, it's just one day, Crown Day, where you, at the end of your senior year, he's in this War Wings Military Academy. You present your crown to a female dragonette. If she accepts it, then you launch in your spaceship to go conquer a planet. If she says no, then you have to live a life of slavery. And so this is just...
That's high stakes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's GORK, and that's the book that I wrote.
And that's funny.
Yeah, I think so. You know,
Life of slavery, yeah.
for the longest
million
time, a lot of people would just laugh at me when I talked. It took a long time for me to figure out how to make that work for myself instead of just getting my feelings hurt. So this is just the way that I write, and I think some people think it's funny.
It sounds cute. It really does actually sound very
Thank you.
So, like I said, you all have very, very different projects, which makes this a very interesting panel. I don't know that I've ever really moderated a panel that had this many different types of books on there. So I just sort of want to hear a little bit more about each of them. But tell me what the project you're working on, what was your least favorite part of making it and your most favorite part of making it? Or if one's better than the other, you can just do that. And jump in now anytime you want.
All our stuff is brilliant. I'm going to speak
But
for
it doesn't
everyone.
mean it was fun to create.
No, that's very true. Okay, since I talked first, I'll start. Current project is the book 16 in the Alien series, which you so aptly said is very, very late. That has nothing to do with the book. I'm enjoying the book. That's not the issue. The biggest challenge for me in this series so far has been book 8, which is Alien Research, where I am forced, somewhat against my will, to viciously murder characters that people loved. And then I had to make them laugh 2 pages later, and I still, my saying on that is, people are like, why did you do this? Like, things got to happen. Things got to happen, kids. Okay, that's just how it works. So you do have to, you have to have that. Though if the stakes aren't high enough, then there's no actual danger. and I felt like it was getting a little too safe for everybody, and we just had to have a little bloodbath, and so that was really hard. My critique partner as on the phone with me, and I'm like, I don't want to kill this character, and she's giving me this whole reason why this character must die, and that's actually in the book because she convinced me, and so I had to use it to convince everybody else. Please stop sending hate mail.
So did you start out with like 500 characters and you're just killing them off in each
No,
book? So
no,
by the time book
I
8
started
rolls
out with
around,
like
you've got 12?
50, and now no, book 15, Alien Education, which is what I'm here promoting. We passed 500 named characters in the series. George R. R. Martin got nothing on me, okay? And I'm on a 2-book-a-year contract, so and mine come out. And so no, it just gets exponential. And I kill some, and then like they get replaced by all these others, because you don't just meet 5 people in your life. Like if I was writing this scene, you'd all be named characters. You're all speaking, so you just moved into the universe.
And we'd all die. It sounds like.
No, not if I. No,
Please
he
don't
looks
write us
like-
into your
wait,
book.
No. Gabe looks like Billy Zane. He is incredibly safe.
Great.
He's going to murder us all on a boat.
Safe.
Good
He
for
is
Gabe.
So safe. He is so safe. Some of you might be in danger.
Jeannie, if you
But
wanted to
Gabe's
use me in your books,
Okay.
you totally can. I'll put the paperwork in motion
Oh, awesome. Thank
and
you.
get the licensing taken care of.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're gonna really.
I will give you a
fast
really
and
good
very
rate.
ugly.
I will give you a really good rate.
Yeah. Will you give me, like the Brendan bump?
Oh,
like the
yes,
Colbert bump?
yes,
It'll be the
yes.
Brendan
Really
bump,
bringing
yeah.
people
So much
together.
the big. It's a big bump. It's
yeah,
a
I
bump.
like it. Yeah, great. Thank you. We'll take you. My people will call your people.
If you're killed, will your rights revert back to you?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have to call my lawyer.
Yeah, work on the work on the
I
reversion
have to
clause
also
of
get. I have
that
to get a
one.
lawyer.
Yeah.
I have to get a lawyer.
The biggest challenge in 10 Dead Comedians, the hardest thing about it was I had 10 different comedians, obviously.
Thus the title.
Who started out living like your characters. And then
10 living comedians. I like this premise. Let's go with that.
Exactly. But so and each one of them had a different style, and I sort of was like resisting the quickly obvious necessity. I'd have to write all of their acts. So doing a Joan Rivers type is very different than doing a Larry the Cable Guy type. There's a sort of an Amy Schumer type in there as well, and all these different characters. But I quickly realized I was not going to make my contractually mandated word count if I did not actually go ahead and write the monologues. But I wanted them to be I didn't want them to be padding. I wanted them to be funny, and because it's a murder mystery, the monologues also actually had their clues in them, so it's actually part of the mystery. So that was really hard because writing 10 different acts for 10 different voices was very hard, and you don't want to the thing I was most worried about was for it all to flatten out everybody to sound like me, which would have defeated the purpose. But people have been really responding well to the monologue, so it turned out to be both my least and most favorite part of writing that book.
I think my least favorite part of doing You Don't Want a Unicorn is, as you know, I draw for The Simpsons, and so I normally do animal comics. That's usually like when I do my own stuff. I only draw animals, and that is mostly because I'm not very good at drawing people. And when I do draw people, they look like Bart or Homer or Marge. So the main character in You Don't Want a Unicorn is a boy, a human boy. So that was a challenge because I had to figure out a way to make him not look like Bart or Milhouse or Nelson. And then of all the animals that I draw, the one that I have the hardest time with is a horse, and a unicorn is a horse with a horn. So that was, and this is like literally like the two characters in the book are either unicorn or boy. So I had to draw a lot of things I'm not very good at drawing, but that was probably the hardest thing, but then also the best because it sort of pushed me in a way to just kind of like, get over it and just draw it, and it was actually really fun. So
that is a really common artist complaint.
Is that right?
Horses. Oh yeah. Like I'd previously done comics, and there's basically 8 out of 10 artists will stab you to death if you try to make them draw horses. If you're doing a Western, this becomes a challenge. But then they're like 20% of them are like, this is amazing. So what's the hard part? Is it just the anatomy, or just that they move kind of interestingly?
I think because I didn't go to I'm not like classically trained as an artist. I left college to work on The Simpsons.
You
when
didn't
I
go
was
to
20.
equestrian art school?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I actually rode a horse as I was drawing. That's how I like to practice. But so I really learned like a lot of what I know about drawing on The Simpsons, and so I'm always a little self-conscious of like, oh, like someone who really knows how to draw a horse is going to be like, that's not how a horse runs. So I was looking at a lot of like, what is the sheet where you can see like every single step? Like I should know that as an animator, but
The Muir Bridge, Edward.
Yes.
I'm not pronouncing that right. That's,
so I was doing that, and I was just kind of self-conscious, but I got over it pretty quick, and I was like, you know what, this is the way I draw a horse, this is the way I draw a boy. If people don't like it, then the book's still really funny, so.
So with What Would Captain Picard Do?
There it is.
Yes.
There it is.
I'm sorry about earlier. I'm on so many drugs. I mean, it's like what Comic-Con's about, right, everyone?
Kids, that's not true. It's about
not
fun
true.
and
It is
adventure.
Not true. It is. It's about
And
fun.
not
It says
drugs.
right here that some of the audience
It's
might
just
be under
Advil.
18.
I was talking about Advil. So with What Would Captain Picard Do, which is a sequel to What Would Captain Kirk Do in the sense that it is a spiritual sequel, since they're totally different universes. The best part and the sort of challenging part are the same, in that I had to sift through thousands and thousands of images from Star Trek: The Next Generation to put together all the images in the book, and then craft the text around those things. And it was really fun because you get to dive in, and I was looking for lots of different strange images of Captain Picard, stuff that was sort of classic, and then stuff that was like I could just make up my own weird context around that image. And it was great in the beginning, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm finding this. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I have been looking at these images for 2 days. And then to choose the best things and then try to sift through those. And it's a constant sort of edit where, you have to get rid of so many things. So it was very time consuming, but fun.
You have some face palms, right?
I do have some face palms. I do have some face palms.
I'm pleased.
You'll
Gabe?
enjoy it.
I think, I had a 2-book contract with my publisher, Knopf, and the second book was 13 years overdue. So that was a bit of a challenge.
Was Dear Mr. President the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, that went pretty well.
It went well enough to make it that much more difficult to do the second one. Also, I felt like I had been boxed in because I was like, I didn't expect to get those awards. I thought I was a different kind of thing. And then they gave it, and then it was like, oh, so you're going to do more Gulf War fiction because you're going to cement that identity and be serious literature. So that's why I wrote GORK, the Teenage Dragon. My publisher is very snooty. I love them. Those are my close friends. But, it's like Toni Morrison and, that sort of thing. So another great challenge was shoehorning a teenage dragon with spaceships, and like they have their own special martial art, tung fu. They can like shoot their tongues out like 75 feet, just to make all that very deadpan and to push that through that serious publisher. That has been quite challenging, but also incredibly rewarding. Incredibly rewarding.
You're growing people there.
Yes,
You're expanding minds.
I hope so.
All right, so I actually have this written down. It's like, this is the serious question, because we're trying to marry comedy with our other subjects. So how do you balance the comedy in your work with like the emotional truth that makes a book worth reading? In other words, like you're presenting humor, but while also maintaining a sense of character and emotion. Like, how do you find the right line for that? Some of you were talking about the Alien series where you're killing a lot of people, and you're talking about a teenage, dragon who's clearly going through some rough stuff with the queen finding and the slavery and whatnot. Like, how do you find a balance so it's not just sort of slapstick? There's also something more to your work.
You go first.
I just follow the voice. I mean, I'm actually telling a very sincere story. Even if I'm funny, I'm actually quite sincere. It's just how my neural passages are wired sort of incorrectly, according to most. So I try to be as sincere as possible. And if I'm able to tap in, I mean, I wouldn't even be... The comedy is just a portal to the emotional stuff. And it's like, if you did it well enough for a sustained period of time, at the end of the narrative, you might be able to pull that off if you earn the right to do it. This is just my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that's how I think about it.
Sarcasm. I pretty much, I speak sarcasm fluently, and so do all my characters. So I use a lot of sarcasm. Not everything, but a lot of what I write is in first person. The Alien series is in first person from Kitty's viewpoint. Alexander Outland is from his viewpoint. Necropolis Enforcement Files is from Victoria Woolf's point of view. And so they all have different quirky inner dialogue, and sarcasm is just right there. And it allows somebody to, say something witty or sarcastic at a point that relieves tension. And I think Kitty's best line in Touched by an Alien, which is the first book in the series, she suggests something, and one of the aliens looks at her and goes, "You're crazy." And she goes, "Well, my crazy's been working a lot better than your sanity." And that's pretty much Kitty. So that's how I do it. And inner monologue for first person, your characters can, like, I can't believe these people who could be this stupid, right? They don't have to say it out loud. You're the reader getting it in there. So that's kind of where the balance is. But then I'm just also a funny person. Not so much up here, apparently.
Toot, toot.
But I'm actually pretty funny. I used to practice monologues in the school cafeterias. If I was making the table, if I was making people snort soda or milk through their noses, it was a good day. So I was always doing that. And in Alexander Outland Space Pirate, I basically went through and bumped every page has jokes, because I really do actually study stand-up, because you have to I feel for me, I have to translate how a stand-up routine would go into the written word, and it has different beats, but I feel like if you can understand stand-up beats, which I think is incredibly difficult to do live, then you can translate that and make sure your jokes, you've got the light chuckle, you've got the big guffaw, you bring it all around at the end and it all clicks. So that's how I do it. I really actually study stand-up comedians.
I think for me, and with my comics in particular, I feel I don't like feeling like clearly manipulated by something. Like if it's like a sad topic, like let's make it sadder. Let's make the audience like really upset by this. Like I really don't like that. I like going the other direction where it's like, okay, well, this is a serious or a sad topic. Like what can I do to sort of like lighten it a bit, but sort of preserve, the seriousness of it, I guess. I think for me, because I draw like really cutesy things, like that's just the way that I draw, I try to keep it from ever going into like the territory of saccharine. Like I don't want anything to look like too obnoxiously over the top cute. I try to like take these drawings that are cutesy and then sort of keep it real. Sort of, there's always like a straight man, and it's always like there's always some sort of level of just kind of like sarcasm in it. But hopefully, keeping in mind like this might speak to somebody going through something that this might just brighten their day a little bit, and that's hopefully what happens. That's like kind of my goal with the stuff that I do.
I mean, generally speaking, things tend to be funny because they're true. Like a much smarter person than I said, the basis for all humor is sort of a shared reality that we share together. And so when you hear the punchline to a joke, it's surprising, but at the same time, it should feel inevitable. Like you should be like, of course, yes. Like that's sort of where all humor comes from. So I think that in stand-ups, particularly people like Richard Pryor sort of pioneered like radical sincerity. I mean, a lot of great stand-up is based in personal experience, which is sort of the quote-unquote purest form of truth there is. So I think I won't go so far as to say it's easy to sort of balance emotional sincerity and humor, but it's not as hard as it's not as hard as maybe you think.
I feel like with my stuff, a lot of the humor comes from the characters. And what I've found in my own work over the years is that when things start to get too emotional or too verging on sentimental, is that I use humor to deflate it a little bit. For instance, I wrote this Guardians of the Galaxy chapter book where Gamora is on this mission, and it's very intense, and she's very focused. And every time it started to get a little too intense, where it's like she's about to just strangle somebody, I would have Rocket Raccoon and Pip the Troll get into an argument over who smelled worse. So it would sort of like, you'd see it going in that direction, and then twist it a little bit. And I feel like that's something, some of the Adventure Time books that I've written, it's a very similar thing where Finn and Jake are, start to get really, emotional or referential, and then then the situation deflates because Jake farts. Do you know what I mean? Because we've all been in situations where serious situations where a little humorous thing happens and you're like you get brought back to reality. So yeah.
What is the worst idea you've ever had for a book? I love to ask this question because you truly hear some bad pitches. I'll give you a second to think about it.
Long list.
I know. I had an idea
All
once
of
to
them.
write a book in like all emojis, and it was based around it was going to be a character called Face Hands because I thought there was an emoji where it was just the face with hands, but then I was actually informed that's the girl with pigtails. So not only was it a bad idea, but my main character didn't exist. So what is the worst idea you've had for a book? And jump on in if you've got one.
I once tried to create a series. This is early on. This is way before I was good enough to get published. Where I had been role-playing online. We'd been doing a role-playing game I'd created, and I tried to write our story, and I realized that every single solitary character but the one I played was completely one-dimensional because they were being played by other people and they were providing the dimension. And it's like I had all these cardboard cutouts and one good character. And I cut that up for parts, and it's been used in other things. I had this like multi-generational, the beginning of the vampires. I mean, it was I put so much time into that for nothing. But it was a really good lesson to never, ever do that again.
One of my first ever professional writing jobs was a guy had won a lawsuit, and so he was getting all this money, and so he's going to invest it in this idea he had, which was called the Restables, and they were wrestling vegetables.
Ooh, I like that.
Well, I remember one of the characters was called Head of Lettuce. She was the big female wrestler, and I'm sure there are other ones.
I was
as
asking
well.
for bad ideas,
Yeah.
not incredible
That's
ideas.
actually cute.
So I write this script, and I think it was supposed to be a cartoon or something, and I turn it in, and I didn't hear anything from the guy for a couple weeks, and then finally he gets back to me, and he goes, well, look, you know what, we have a contract, so I'm going to pay you, but I can't use this because you just didn't take it seriously. And I was like...
But all you heard was the first sentence, right?
Yeah. I was just like, what? So... maybe it's still out. Maybe we can all take that idea now. Maybe the trademark lapsed. It was a long time ago.
We could run with that.
Yeah.
I have like a running list of like short play ideas. And one of them that I don't know that I will ever do is called Dog Funeral, and it's basically like a funeral for like it's like
For a dog?
humans. Yeah, it's like humans that are like dressed like dogs, like giving a funeral for like this elder dog that had died. And yeah, I don't know.
I might trust your
but it's
instincts
also
on
like
this
one
one.
of these things where like people start coming out of the woodwork with like, so it's not like an interactive like audience thing, but like people will stand up and be like, I knew Sparky when he was, and like people start getting really emotional. Yeah. Anyway. So if you want me to write it, let me know by your applause. And now this is going in a direction.
So wait, are these like furries? Are these like humans
No,
dressed
it's
as
like
dogs? Are these humans
it's like,
playing dogs?
It's like
in the
humans
movie?
playing dogs.
Okay,
so meta.
It's humans.
So they're
It's, yes,
furries.
no, it's like actual dogs with
I'm
like
increasing
dog
my
references where it's like I used to when Sparky and I used to sniff butts all day long, and it's like lots of like dog story stuff.
Dog anecdotes.
Yeah, dog anecdotes. Yeah. We'll see, I guess.
Can they team up with the Restables?
I think they could. I think that there's a series there.
It's funny. Part of trying to write the way that I do is being very delusional and optimistic when there's no real reason to be. And so when I'm thinking of my worst ideas, I'm still hopeful at this moment that I can make them into something.
Oh, welcome to Comic-Con.
Exactly. So, I think like writing about space dragons or all of these things might sound like bad ideas to a certain sort of mind, but to me, all of your ideas sound terrific. And, it's just like applying that rigorous logic to build it out and make it as real as possible is the fun challenge, I think. So, but I have a unfinished thing. It's like a bunch of animals that have been modernized, like in the future, and they're at a zoo, and there's humans that are kept there as well, and they're writing letters to Santa Claus asking for things for Christmas, and they're really peculiar things. And so that's my bad idea. But see, I have to cling to that because, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I'm sorry. That
who's
made
in
me
the
wanna
zoo?
cry.
You know what? We'll move on.
They're trapped in the zoo and they're writing letters to Santa.
It's a zoo of sadness and
Yeah,
letters
yeah.
and Christmas.
You don't remember this is the humor panel, right?
Yeah. But I think what we're all trying to conceal is I listen. It sounds like a bunch of broken, sad people that have found a way to. I mean, if I'm
Through
hearing
Santa
it
Claus.
correctly, yeah.
I like it.
Mine's
I like
actually Christmas related too. I can't think of any bad book ideas because I don't really have all that many ideas to begin with. But me and another artist on The Simpsons, like 10 years ago, had this idea to do like a really inappropriate line of Christmas cards. And we had a whole list written down. And this is before long before I had any actual greeting cards. Like one of them in particular was like, I saw mommy kissing Santa Claus, and it's like a woman kissing Santa Claus and like her small child like crying in the background. And then you open it up, it's like, Merry Christmas, your mom's cheated on your dad. So now, obviously, this is horrible. Like, I mean, there are people that like would probably be really.
I want to buy that. Yeah.
It's just so different from what I do now, because everything I do now is all like, oh, it's like happy. That was like kind of mean. Like it was sort of
You
a
think it's going to go one way, but actually it goes the other way.
So, tell us a little bit more about these greeting cards.
Oh no, that was like the nicest one too. There were some really bad.
Give
ones.
us another one, please.
Oh, I meant that you do have an actual line
Oh,
of
yes.
greeting
Yeah,
card.
let's
Like
talk
you have
about those.
greeting card experience.
Yes.
She's like, oh, thank God. Let's talk about
Yes,
that.
please. Anything. I'm so sweaty right now. Yes, I have an actual line of nice, appropriate greeting cards. At Target, I actually have 64 greeting cards available right now at any Target. And then at Walmart, I have some available. I think, I'm not exactly sure how many at Walmart, but there's a lot. And it's mostly just like all occasions. All the animal comics that I do on my Tumblr that you see on my Tumblr, they're all sort of like adapted to these greeting cards. And yeah, there's all different kinds for any occasion. And that was really, really fun. That was actually what I wanted to do when I was in college, and so it was a really fun surprise that I now have this cool line at stores.
That's amazing. Like, and I really think you should have trusted your instincts with the other cards.
That's very cool.
But so I want everyone here to either tell me a secret talent they possess, or they can tell me the most embarrassing thing they've had to research for their work.
Oh.
Tell me one or the other. Because I love research stories, because I'm sure as a person who writes YA murder mysteries, if the FBI ever got a hold of my laptop and my wife goes missing, I'm done.
Oh,
It's just,
yeah.
There's
I'm
nothing
on-
I can do about it.
I'm on terrorist watch list for for the book where I had to kill everybody. I was. This is not the embarrassing thing, but I was on Google Maps. I was down on Guantanamo Bay for 6 months, like looking at everything. I know. I'm like, I'm an author. You know, I kept like, look, writing, book.
Yeah, we're all under surveillance
Oh
right
yeah,
now. Thanks
yeah.
a lot. I
So
appreciate
it's like,
that.
so hi NSA, I love you, sort of, even though you've become one of the big villains in my series. But that's just kidding. Please don't take me away. I keep telling people if I disappear, I haven't gone willingly. No, the most embarrassing thing. The Alien series also has steamy sex scenes in it. Okay, that's just you get a bonus, and
It's Touch Me Like an Alien. you said,
it's
right?
touched by an alien. Touch me like an alien.
It's a great title.
Thank
Somebody's
you.
got a new
Thank
book
you.
idea.
Yeah. I don't actually write porn or erotica, but you run out. Yeah, it is. You run out of positions and places.
Hey,
You
again,
do,
this is
okay? And
there's
I am
children in the
on-
audience, please.
I am on frickin' book 16 right now, so somewhere between like 7 and 10, I was like, I have got to get something else because people expect. So my husband and I go trooping down to the bookstore, and we find a book that says 220 new sex positions, and I am like, pictures, we're buying it. And he's like, oh boy. There are not 220 sex positions, and I'm sorry for those that are young. I apologize now, but I'm not using dirty words. There is missionary, right? There's man on top, woman on top. There's like 5.
I don't think we need the catalog.
No. There's 5.
I've heard of that
How
one.
they did this, though? Okay, so you're here. Lift up your leg. That's one position. Put that leg down. Lift this one up. It's like anytime you moved your body, that's how they were cataloging their positions. I was so ripped off, and I couldn't
So it's
return it.
220 laziest sex positions.
It's just no. It's
You're looking
just
for like public domain sex positions, basically.
Yeah, if you put
Minimal
your hands
effort
above,
sex
No,
positions.
you put your hands above your
Okay, this has gone off the rails a little bit. Let's back
asked.
again.
I blame you.
Secret talent or most embarrassing research? Not Genie.
I've already done. That was my most embarrassing research.
So I Google a lot of really weird stuff just to try and like get ideas for animal comics. And so one in particular, sometimes I'm just like, hey, this is like a thing an animal does. Maybe I'll get an idea if I look at these photos. And I think I was trying to think of a joke where like an elephant was underwater and like using its nose as like a periscope or something. So I thought I Googled elephant underwater trunk just to kind of see pictures, and I accidentally got autocorrected to elephant underwear trunk. And so there are pictures, I won't go into too much detail, but like men's underwear, like little men's underwear, and then there's like an elephant's face, and then like a trunk in the middle. And so if my computer's seized and there's a bunch of pictures like that on it, that's the only reason why. It's not because of anything weird.
Okay, I'm just going to apologize now for where I sent the rest of the panel.
What have you done with me?
I'm sorry. I'll just.
I
take
think it was
another.
the charades were a particular low point.
I can do more. Be careful.
I'll change the tone. Also, I can play Guitar Hero with my feet.
Ooh.
That is a secret talent.
That is a secret talent. I'm impressed.
Gentlemen.
I feel like we've been trumped already. Yeah, I'm thinking of all the weird sex stuff.
I was gonna say. I mean, like,
Save me.
I feel like for many of the things that I write, have to watch a lot of cartoons and stuff. Many of the things I write are sort of in my brain, based on how much I know about the property. But there have been times where I've had to, like 5 years ago, I wrote this book, the My Little Pony Elements of Harmony. And I got the job. It went really quick. And it all happened really quickly. And I got the job right before I was going on a bachelor party weekend. And so I was with like 13 guys in a house on the Jersey Shore. And when I wasn't with the group, I was like in my room watching My Little Pony on my phone. Because I was like, I gotta watch like 52 episodes.
That's not weird.
Yeah, and but I don't know like the weirdest, but there have been ones that I've actively been like that have been really exhausting. Years ago, I will not name this property, but this was many years ago. There was a talking piece of citrus that I had to consume a lot of videos of, and I was almost driven to the point of madness. And I'm here to tell you that I'm a survivor. Yeah. It was a very long... that's another thing, too, is like being in charge of my own schedule, as a writer, like I'm in charge of it. So like I can just keep doing it for as long as I need to complete it. So if I'm like, let me just watch 8 hours to get this out of the way, I can do it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that it is particularly healthy.
Or enjoyable.
So what were secret skill?
Secret talent or weird research?
I think my secret talent is really pretending that I know what's going on when I don't know what's going on. And that applies to crossing the street, keeping track of time. If you knew how frantic I was at different times today because I miscalculated.
I was going to say, are you doing it right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would say that is my secret talent is like I really mostly have no idea what's going on, but I was like a professor for 9 years, so I had to sort of trick all these like smart kids into thinking I knew stuff that made it worth them paying all that money for. So I developed like a routine, and I could stand at the front of the class and do that. So that's really my secret talent.
Well, I'm doing that right now.
Yeah.
They give you a podium. People think you know what you're doing. They're throwing signs at me. I don't know what's going on. Fred, did you want to jump in, or you feel good with your answer?
Well, I guess I'm my I don't know if this is necessarily a secret talent. I don't even know if it counts as a talent, but I'm like really good at packing things. Like particularly for like suitcases and like boxes. So like if terrorists seize control of this theater and we're like, we need to pack everyone or everything into a corner, I would be like, it's my time to shine. I'm stepping up.
That is amazing and a very likely scenario. All right, we're gonna do. Let's do audience questions first, so we can close with a lightning round. So there are 2 microphones at the 2 sides of the theater. I should have said this. Sorry, I'm very sorry about that. So if you could just jump up, and we're gonna do about 10 minutes of questions. So we'll see how that goes. And panelists, since if we get a lot of questions, let's see maybe 1 or 2 of you answer each one, and then we can run through them. Great. Okay, go ahead.
I want to know, in your line of work, either tangentially or directly, what is the funniest thing that ever happened to you?
Oh my God.
It's
Well, I told you that restable story. No, sorry.
I was just going to say, it's so contextual. You would have to know the sensibility of the person. I mean, the things that I laugh at are usually, it has to do with how messed up the head is of the other person or mine. And if they knew that I had to go do something, they would know how that related to my past. So that would make me laugh to sort of crying. But I don't think there's anything universally that would have seemed funny. I don't think.
I got nothing.
We got another
This
question.
panel's been pretty good.
We're a fun group. Yeah.
It's been pretty funny.
Over there.
I had one, but I revised it.
Okay. This one is for Gabe, as someone who also has a brain that's wired incorrectly according to society.
Hello.
I don't believe Gabe said that about himself, but that's okay. Keep going.
You said it right in the beginning.
I knew we were speaking the same language. These people over here, they're too well adjusted.
Yes. So, what are some of the hurdles you have to overcome in writing or dealing with other people with your writing, and how do you overcome them?
That's a great question. What's your name?
Colin.
Colin. Hi, Colin. I think it's just years of agony because people misunderstand you. Like I said, for the longest time, people would just laugh at me when I was being very sincere. And then I finally figured out, like, oh, I'm just going to make that work for me. And like I said, pretending like I know what's going on, that's super key. So it's just about the gestures, the tone of voice, how you comport yourself. The best you could ever achieve is bluffing. That's the most you could achieve. But there's a certain delight as well.
Did you say fluffing?
Genie's going there
Genie,
again.
come on. Genie,
We got to rein Genie in again.
what's happening over there? I looked down at my paper for 1 minute.
Get the crank gun.
It is really hard when someone hands me a straight line like that to just let it go. But go on, continue.
Well, no, that's all I was saying is that but there's a certain power in all that because you have also the ability to like access stuff that most people don't or can't, or because of your sincerity you'll just cross the line and say the true thing, as Mr. Valente was saying, and it's very funny. So I would just like keep speaking your truth, and then you'll just kind of back everybody else up against the wall. Most people do not want to tell the truth.
It's a good answer. Over here.
A couple of quick questions real quick, if I may. First one for Liz. Liz, how long have you worked on The Simpsons? Huge Simpsons fan, of course.
Oh, cool.
And was not aware of you being on the panel for that. And along with that, too, what is your favorite episode?
That's just good moderator research right there. Thank you very much.
I'm coming up on 14 years Monday, actually. It's my 14th. And the only reason I know that is because I started on my birthday. I don't actually have it on my calendar. And thank you. That was
14 years old.
Yeah, I was a newborn baby when I started. They just put a bunch of ink on me and I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's the one where Homer. I just remember Homer gets the plaque above his desk that says "Don't forget you're here forever," and then the end. I might start crying.
That's the Maggie,
All the
Maggie
Maggie pictures, and it says "Do it for her." So the Maggie, yeah, I also love Lisa the Vegetarian is a really good one because it's just really funny. But those are
Gazpacho.
probably
Cool.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Second question is for Gabe. Gabe, he's mentioned that you were a professor. What did you teach?
Creative writing. Where am I looking right now?
You're looking over there. Right there.
Hey, how do you do, sir? I taught creative writing, so that is enigmatic enough that I could bluff. You know, you can't put your finger on that. And the PhDs, they would always sort of turn their nose up at me. But you can be magnetic and charming. I haven't been today, but I would have more people sort of signing up for my classes than the other people. But it was always creative writing. But truth be told, after a while, I had my students stand up and do like stand-up routines. I mean, the whole thing was like, I would tell them the first day of class, if they have a heart condition, please bring like a note from their doctor. I mean, I just basically was very peculiar and just made it seem as if there was a strategy behind that, a creative strategy. But you know what? My students are still in touch with me today, so.
And for those of you aspiring moderators out there, that research website you was called Wikipedia. Check it out. Right over there.
Hi, Liz. I'm a big fan. I have all your books.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Well, my question is like, would you ever consider writing like your animal comics about like awkwardly relatable teenager stuff? Like, cause I love reading your thing. Like my boyfriend and I, whenever we like watch a sad movie, afterward we're just like, okay, we need to take our list book.
Oh.
It's like we need to read one of those. And I wonder, like, you ever think of putting those kids as like teenager?
That's I haven't, and that's a really good idea. I think it's just been such a long time since I was a teenager. But I do have a daughter who's 4. She's in the audience somewhere. But maybe like, I am like really inspired by her now when I do children's book stuff, that I feel like as she gets older, I'm probably going to be more and more inspired. And so that is definitely something that I will consider, because that's really nice to hear, and that's a really good idea. Thank you.
Right here.
I actually also wanted to ask the question that was already asked, so I'll just go with the more serious one. I was wondering if I could hear more about your understanding of humor and how you use that to approach inducing humor in other people, just because I feel like I can get more insight on how to sort of approach it myself if I could hear your
Fred and Brandon, you want to try and take a stab at this?
Well, farts.
Yes.
Butts.
As many as you can cram in. Butts and farts.
Hilarious falling. Injuries to the groin. Very important.
You know what? I posted a video on my Instagram recently and doing one of my favorite things, which is using a banana as a phone. And it's one of my favorite things to do. And I have friends who are like, I love it when you pretend to talk on the banana. And I was like, really? And I've never had my friends come out of the woodwork and tell me like, it's one of my favorite things. And I was like, you know what? I gotta like do that more. So now I'm like, I gotta do more. You know why? And it's one of my favorite things because I don't even have to say that much. I just like to just pretend like I'm listening.
To the banana.
To nothing, which is just a banana. But to your question,
I feel like we answered that serious aspect.
I do want to say, I not necessarily in the stuff that is my published work as far as like writing for other people's characters, but like the playwriting and the comedy that I write. A lot of comedy can come from pain and painful experiences, and one of the things that has helped me get over painful things is to write about them and find the humor in some of those darker things, and that has been a therapeutic thing for me in my life and in my career, and has really helped me find my way through creative obstacles as well.
And I also think people are funny. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. So, I mean, I'm sure everybody's going to nod when I say this. We're paying attention. We're eavesdroppers. I eavesdrop on everything going around me. So when I hear some weird conversation, at the booth next to me where some, 75-year-old guy is trying to hit on a 22-year-old girl, and, I'm starting to lean back. Like, people went like, oh, no, stop talking to me. I gotta hear this. So there's a lot of things you can hit, and it'll stick with you. Just you got to pay attention to other people, because that's where you're also going to get dialogue. There's some editors I've worked with when they're working with people who are having trouble with dialogue. The dialogue seems not natural and stilted. They're like, okay, I want you to go to a crowded coffee shop or coffee house, and your only job is to listen to every conversation and make notes and then go back and try to write them verbatim so that you can see how people really talk. You can't necessarily do that verbatim in a story. The story still has to make sense. There's a lot of yeah that you are going to cut out. But to see how people interact, how infrequently they use each other's names. For example, I've read books where it's like, well, you know, Liz, hey, Liz. It's like, I already know her name. Stop saying her name.
The book sounds great.
Yeah, I know. All right, we're going to move.
It's called Liz. It's like a day with Liz. Liz.
We're going to move to the final round now because I just got the 5-minute warning, which is your lightning round. Does everybody know how to do a lightning round on the panel? It's very simple. I give you two answers. You pick one. That's the answer. No explanations.
Okay.
Or if you have to hold yourself to a very small explanation, it's fine. But you just pick one or the other, and then the entire audience and I judge you. That's how this works. All right. So,
Cool.
magic wand or lightsaber, and just go down the row in order, starting with Brandon.
Lightsaber.
Lightsaber.
Magic wand.
Magic wand.
Lightsaber.
The correct answer was lightsaber. Okay.
Of course it was. It's Comic-Con.
Okay, this is a tough one. Indestructible, self-cleaning underwear, or a talking pet.
A talking pet.
Talking pet.
Talking pet.
Talking pet.
Talking pet.
Pets would not say anything interesting. It'd just be, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Take me outside.
Pets love us.
They do, but we love them because they're silent. Okay. Prehistoric Earth or the year 3010?
Oh. 3010, hoping we're still here.
It's a gamble.
Prehistoric.
Prehistoric.
3010.
3010.
Admiral of Starfleet or headmaster at Hogwarts?
Oh my god. I just want to see the job description just really quick if you could. Admiral at Starfleet.
I'm a terrible authority figure, so I'm going to say headmaster because I feel like I would get everyone on that starship killed.
How much paperwork is there for Admiral?
Seems like a lot.
Maybe not.
Starfleet.
Starfleet.
Hogwarts.
Dumbledore was a terrible headmaster. Real talk, everybody. Ghosts or Ghostbusters?
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters.
Ghosts.
X-Files or Lost?
That's
Lost. And I just, by the way, I went to Hawaii and did the Lost tour. Unrelated.
X-Files.
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 Lost.
The answer was X-Files. All right, you got to think this is a little complicated. Would you rather sweat cheese? In other words, when you sweat, it's cheese that comes out. Or you have to vomit 3 marbles on the hour every hour.
Can I eat the cheese that I sweat?
It's not good cheese. It's sweat cheese. And also, the vomiting marbles won't keep up at night. It's very, they just come out.
I will do the sweat cheese.
So is it like a Jimi Hendrix situation possibly at night with the marbles? That's hardcore.
Yeah.
I mean, the cheese seems more disgusting but less life-threatening, so I've got to go with cheese.
Yeah, cheese. Definitely cheese.
I picked death.
Smart move. Smart move.
I think the cheese.
Cheese would be so gross. All right, you have to fight one for your survival. Killer robot or rogue alien?
Oh. Killer robot. I mean, because if I want to live, I feel like an alien would be more unpredictable. So a robot is. Don't laugh at me up there, Mary Kate. I would say, yeah.
If it's a rogue alien, that implies there's good aliens out there. So maybe I can bring the alien cops in on that. So I'll go with rogue alien.
Alien. Yeah, definitely.
My aliens look like supermodels, so I'm taking the rogue alien.
Rogue alien.
I feel like robots are hard to beat in a fight.
Yeah.
Especially
But
good
like I
robots.
feel like an alien would be so unpredictable. You're like, I don't know, a robot.
Haven't you seen Terminator?
I know, but like,
I don't want
but what
any
if
part
it's
of
just,
the Terminator.
But like, what if it's just a
Haven't you seen
regular
Earth Girls Are
robot,
Easy?
like just like
Moving
a clunky,
on.
What's up? It's a GoBot. You know?
Karaoke night or Jenga party?
Oh, that's easy.
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
Nobody likes Jenga.
Karaoke.
Karaoke.
Yeah.
Note to self on Jenga party. Never brush your teeth again, or never wash your hair again.
Hair.
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 I'm sorry, that was a gimme.
Oh, well played, sir. Well played. All right, you either have no depth perception or a very tiny mouth. like straw-sized. These are the questions people want answers to.
Do they?
Depth perception.
Yeah, I like eating too much. I'm gonna have to go with
Yeah.
depth perception.
I already have bad depth perception, so yeah, that one.
Ditto. Yeah, depth perception.
I'm gonna take the small mouth.
Right on.
All right, you're either president of Clowns Across America or a professional clown hunter.
Does that organization exist?
It will by your choice in this question.
Or a clown hunter?
Yes, like for sport. You hunt them like animals.
Point me in the direction of a clown, because I'm going to hunt him.
Again, don't want to be an authority figure. Clown hunter.
I'll be a president. I could be in charge of some clowns.
The only good clown is a dead clown I'm hunting.
Clown hunter.
I'll keep you safe, clowns. Don't
And
worry.
last thing, a book you're reading right now or a very quick book recommendation?
Oh, God. I actually, you know what I just read like 2 nights ago is Archer and Armstrong that Fred wrote. Yeah. So it was very enjoyable.
Appreciate that.
Volume 1, pick it up, Valiant Comics.
I'm flustered now. Right now I'm reading Tourist Season by Carl Hyacin from '86, which is a novel.
The last book I read was Station 11, and it was not funny at all, but it was really good.
I can't remember what the title is, but Greg Benford's newest book sounds really fabulous, and it's waiting for when I finally get my book done.
Kelly Link, she has a collection of short stories called Get in Trouble. They're very funny and genre heavy.
The correct answer was Nemesis by Brendan Reichs. No problem there. Everyone, big round of applause for our panel. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, guys.